host, Tyler Carter.
And I'm your host, Cody Vanciolillo.
Cody, man, it was a great weekend of basketball in the Final Four. We had four number one seeds all make it to the Final Four, and these games did not disappoint. Obviously, in the first matchup, we had Florida versus Auburn. Florida ended up being victorious in that one, and Houston with a spectacular comeback. It what was it? I believe it was a 15-3 run to end the game to win
hmm
that one 70-67. Man, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I'll give my thoughts first on the Florida Auburn game. I think the matchup was like the big matchup would be like how Auburn tried to deal with Florida's depth, and Florida's depth proved to be superior to Auburn's like high skill talent. I mean, obviously, he had Walter Clayton Jr. He balled out as usual, and Elijah Martin. What a couple of highlights he had. I mean,
Bro, that dunk from the free throw line was sick.
You, like I put on Twitter, I saw the dunk and my first thought was Space Jam.
That's
He looked.
exactly what it looks like.
hmm And then there was a second, and then later on there was a dunk. And then later on, I believe there was a fast break or something like that. Let me see if I can. I can't. I don't know if I can find the image anywhere, but I mean, I found this on Twitter. Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna try to share this real quick. I'm just searching up on Google, so. Yeah, so we have this first dunk. Yeah, I mean,
Ooh,
this comes from WSF. And then later on, you had this dunk right here from, yeah, from
yeah.
Hail Florida Hail, which I believe is a Florida fan site. I just found these on Google. And then another angle from the second dunk here with Sports Illustrated. That was a beauty right there.
Doug, yeah, that was absolutely insane, man. Like, that was one thing I said before before the game, before like the tournament started. Is like Florida. I had them winning for a reason. Just their overall depth is what something I think that could,
hmm
win them a title. But man, I think one thing, as we move on to the next game, I mean, Houston just showed that they were battle tested. Like and I made a massive mistake on Thursday show. I called him Ralph Sampson. It's Kelvin Sampson. So my apologies. Um, but man, Kelvin Sampson just with the way Houston plays defense and their toughness and the way, and he even said it that like we are here because of the schedule that we played in the Big 12. So I felt, as like a team in the Big 12, felt pretty proud because he said he made a shout out to the Big 12. He was like our Big 12 brethren, and shout out to the commissioner, Brett Yormark. Like that was a really great moment for the Big 12.
Yeah, and I think the comment. I mean, the comments started up a little bit. I mean, when he made the Toy Poodle conference, I mean, there were disagreements with who he was referring to, whether it was referring to the ACC or the American Athletic, given that Houston used to be in the American Athletic. So there was a lot of discourse between that. But I think that's just Kelvin Sampson showing that the Big 12 is a viable league. Like they're not in a league where it's just one or two teams carrying the rest of them. And it wasn't a direct shot, and I don't think Kelvin Sampson will is the type of guy to make a direct shot at a conference. But you know how people interpret things, so interpret it
Yeah.
how you will. But Kelvin Sampson is a man with integrity, and yeah, that 15-3 run, that was a part of Houston's defense in that last like 10 or so minutes. I saw a thing on a graphic where, or like it was where Houston held Duke to only one made field goal in the last 10.5 minutes of game time.
It's absolutely insane, bro. Like, I mean, and then Duke fans were going through it. Let's be honest, they were going through it at the end, saying that, oh, y'all only were leading for like about 30, only for 1 minute of this game. I'm like, yeah, the minute that matters. I'm like, it doesn't matter how long you lead this game. You won who ended up winning in the end. Houston did. They were tougher. They stayed tougher for longer. You
Hmm.
can't cancel monitor. They stayed tougher for longer, and as a result of that, they won. So congrats to Houston.
Hmm. Yeah, and then back to the Duke fan discourse. They were convinced that that over the back call on Cooper Flag was basically what sealed the game. Like they're crying foul, and it's funny that it's coming from Duke, but we knowing that who Duke is and their reputation when it comes to foul calls, like you're kind of one of the last people to call out bad fouls. It's like we know officials are bad, but Duke, if anybody's benefited from questionable officiating, it's you. So I do not want to hear anything from you. But back to Houston, LJ Cryer, once again, I mean it was him and yeah, Emmanuel Sharp. Those two were the main catalyst for this Houston win. LJ Cryer finished the game with 26 points, and Emmanuel Sharp finished with 16 points.
And fun fact, LJ Cryer has a chance to be, I believe, the first player in NCAA history for a chance to win two national titles with two different teams. So let's see if Houston can do that tonight. And right now, we're going to break down tonight's matchup between the Florida Gators and the Houston Cougars. So right now, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to start off with Florida first. Um, so here we go. All right. So, as obviously everybody knows, Walter Clayton has been the star of this tournament. He went off for another 30-point game. In here, he's the leading scorer with 18 and a half points per game. Alex Condon, who actually struggled a lot in Saturday's game, he fouled out with 1 point, but he's their leading rebounder. Walter Clayton Jr. the uh, is the leading assist getter, and then Will Richard, the other guard, pitches in with 1.6 steals per game. Alex Camden also leads the way with 1.4 blocks per game. All right, so for you, Cody, what is Florida going to have to do to win this game?
I think well, before I get to that, I think the Saturday's game for Alex Condon was kind of deceptive because yeah, he fouled out and only had 1 point, but Alex Condon made a few huge plays. I mean, you talk about the blocks. He also got like a few like offensive rebounds that allowed Florida to get some second chance points. And Condon was doing the little things that really helped Florida beat Auburn. I think he was the one that drew the charge on I believe it was Janai
Oh
Broom
yeah, yep,
like late in that second half, and that
yep,
kind of helped Florida, like because making those little plays is what you can do, even if you're not putting the ball in the basket. You make those, you do the little things right, and everything else will follow.
yeah, definitely, man. And Chimiela had a pretty good game on Saturday as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and then yeah, back to Clayton. Obviously, he's the main guy. That's the main the main playmaker, and that's something that I think you have to have when you want to win a national championship. Is you have to have like who you consider the guy, and clearly it's Walter Clayton Jr. I mean, he's 87% from the free throw line, about 39% from three, and he can score in just about any way possible, whether it's a circus three or an acrobatic layup at the rim against strong defense. He can score just about from anywhere on the floor.
Yeah, and it's interesting because their offense actually plays three guards with Elijah Martin and Will Richard. I do think it's gonna have to take one of these, either Martin or Richard, to have another big game with Walter Clayton Jr. Because that Houston defense is I mean, we as Iowa State fans know it. That Houston defense is ridiculous, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we know Iowa State knows that defense because Iowa State and Houston almost play like they play about a similar style of basketball where it's like relentless in your face defense, and Houston has found the shooting to really elevate them, and they may not have what you would consider like as the playmaker, but you clearly the team works well together. I mean, I saw a practice film of Kelvin Sampson where like of Houston where I think they rolled the ball and they were practicing like diving on the ball and whatnot. And you see like and that was like rewarding hustle and things like that. So I saw that in the practices. So it just shows how dedicated the team is to playing great defense and hustling for every loose ball. And because you never know what that like hustling for that loose ball could do.
Definitely. I mean, Uzan at the beginning of the season broke his nose because of those type of drills. So I mean, they have that ingrained toughness, um, that lunch pail mentality. Um, that everything is earned, not given. So
Hmm.
this is going to be a very, very interesting clash because it's not like Florida just puts up shots. Florida is probably one of the most efficient teams in college basketball. So Florida is always able to find a shot, and if not, like you said previous a few minutes ago, Alex Connor is out there to get up there on the board and fight on the board. So I think it's going to be a very, very fun matchup with him and Tugler on the boards. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, I'm very excited to see how Alex Connor will match up against Joe Tugler. Pierce, I'm gonna guess like the assignment will be Walter Clayton up against, would say, LJ Cryer,
Yeah.
and then Elijah Martin against Emmanuel Sharp, I would guess.
Yep. And then Richard on Uzan.
Hmm. So a lot of exciting matches. I mean, you talk about like efficient offense. I mean, both of these teams are top 10 in offensive and defensive rating. Florida is the second best offense in the country, and Houston's the ninth best offense, but they are the number one ranked defense in the country. And Florida is the number nine ranked defense in the country, according to Ken Palm. So you talk about a clash of styles with that matchup.
We have to see which one reigns supreme. Um, so with that being said, we're gonna go. I'm gonna take a look at the Houston roster, and
Mhm.
the Houston statistics. But with that, yeah, like is like I will say, Cody, that this I'm not gonna lie. I was talking about it with Eric yesterday. We were on the phone. We
Hmm.
were talking about this is probably the most excited I've ever been to tune into a national championship game because as much as we wanted like parity and stuff, like we are literally getting the best of the best
Hmm.
right now. Like
Yeah.
this is you can't ask for anything better than this.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, that kind of like something that new people talk about. Like, there wasn't a lot of like crazy upsets and chaos, and you kind of want that, but at the same time, the trade-off would be not as great matchups as you got here, like in the Final Four, now in the national championship. So it's kind of one of the things where like you do want to see that chaos, but at the same time, you kind of want to see like the best teams really go up against each other, and that's what we're
Right.
gonna get here with
And
Houston. And go ahead.
yeah, and I was like, and it felt like we're finally gonna get some finality because it just felt like the last 2 years it was just a foregone conclusion at the beginning of the tournament that UConn was gonna win the title. So like it's just like finally having some finality. We're getting the best of the best. Now moving forward, like obviously I would like to see the best team, but I would like there to be more parity in the next first few rounds. But I would be okay if we have at least multiple seeds or at least top seeds or at least top four seeds making it. Maybe like with some some type of parity, but also a little bit of chalk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but I think this year was this kind of year where like you clearly knew like who the elite teams were, and they were a tier, like they were leagues above the rest of the field. Like yeah, you maybe had Alabama, and Tennessee, but even then, I don't think they would like gone as far. Like they wouldn't have like. But you just know that you had those very elite teams like
Right.
Auburn, Tennessee. They're elite, no doubt, but Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Houston are they were just above them. Like there was just that gap. Like it was probably like it was a decent sized gap, maybe about like this size of a gap between the four and then the rest of the field. So that's
Yeah.
just what we saw this year. Sometimes you have that in college basketball where you just have teams that are just leagues above everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's break down this Houston roster and their statistics. So Elsa Cryer leads the way with the team with averaging 15.6 points. Jerron Roberts leads with 6.5 boards per game. Milos Uzan is the leading uh, assist getter with 4.3 assists per game. He distributes the ball very, very well. Manuel Sharp with leads with 1.4 steals per game, and JoJo Tugler. um, leads with 2 blocks per game. So like you look at these um, top 4 guys. Obviously, Crier is going to be a guy that's going to need to be counted on, and either Shep or Uzan is going to have to go off. I do think that a um, maybe not underrated player, but a player that I think you're going to have to watch out for is Jawan Roberts, because Jawan Roberts I think is going to be the wild card out of this game.
Yeah, I mean, Jawan Roberts was the guy at the free throw line when Houston was on that run, and he was the one that had to nail those 2 free throws to go up by 3 late. So you knew he had to hit some clutch free throws, and he certainly did. So it's shown that he does have a clutch factor. Yeah, I mean, Jawan Roberts is like somebody I look forward to. Like, I mean, at first when I was watching the Houston game, he looked a little shaky, but it looked like he found his game like as the game went on, and as Houston got more confidence and they um chipped away at Duke's lead, you could see that there was a clear shift in momentum in favor of Houston. Jawan Roberts was kind of a piece of that.
Yeah, and I think another guy that you should look out for from the bench is Malik Wilson. I think he could be a guy that will come in when the main guys need rest. So watch out for him too to be a impact in this game.
Mhm. Yeah, and we saw like firsthand what Houston's capable of. I mean, obviously Iowa State went down to Houston in February, and again, like the fact that we even competed with Houston while LJ Cryer was putting on a 30-point night and Emmanuel Sharp basically couldn't miss. I mean, it showed that we were still competitive. So I think there is a world where I think if Iowa State was healthy and they made it to the Final Four, maybe the national championship, we could have been in the spot that Florida's in right now. But that's just sometimes how college basketball falls. But very confident in the fact that Houston can like play different styles, and we've seen Houston in the position they were in at Duke before. If you remember the game against Kansas at Allen Fieldhouse, where Kansas had that 6 point lead with what a minute to go or so, and Houston was able to claw and find a way to win that game. That was the scenario that they had against Duke, and Kelvin Sampson mentioned it in the post game interview that Houston's been in this position before. They know what it takes to win in this position, and I think that's going to be something that Houston has, and that could be the difference for them winning the national championship. Is in these type of close games, Houston knows how to win.
That's very very true. And like honestly, if Houston wins the title, um, I mean I know as Iowa State fans, I know that we're down, and obviously season didn't go as well as we thought. But if a team like Houston wins the national title, like that gives us a team like Iowa State hope that like we can also win a title like this. Like the way that they play relentless defense and they do just enough on offense, because they average about 74 over a little bit over 74 points per game. I mean, it's proven if you play relentless defense and you can just do just enough to score, and not even have to be like and be like top not even top five, maybe top 10, top 15 offensively in KenPom.
Yeah.
It's shown that you can win a national championship that way.
hmm And you just need a guy. You just need a guy that you can go to when you need to get a bucket. One or two guys that are capable of going off on a big night. So I think that's just going to be something that for Iowa State to really find, whether that be Milan Momcilovic developing another year, Taman Lipsey finds his shooting from sophomore year, or maybe one of the freshmen like Jamarian Bateman or Killian Torrey step up and they can produce at a high level as freshmen. So just I think that's kind of what was lost last year because like the
Yeah,
defensive integrity for Iowa State was kind of lost last year just because of like the pick and roll and we weren't able to like guard the pick and roll as well. And there's not shots like Deshaun or Branson Chatfield, but you can see that there was a difference in the pick and roll defense when you look at Branson Chatfield and Deshaun Jackson versus say Rob Jones and Hassan Ward. You saw a difference in how we defended the pick and roll, and it was the pick and rolls defended a little better with Rob Jones and Hassan Ward. So I think if you can replicate what you did this year, but also add in like that extra like layer defense, better at the pick and roll defense, and then get like some more consistent shooting from guys like Milan Momcilovic or Taman Lipsey, Iowa State could find themselves like truly in a position like this where they're in the Final Four or even the national championship game. But this national championship is it's slated to be probably like a really fun national championship. And I mean, I know who I have picked in for this game. I know you picked Florida, and then I have Houston. One thing that has like me like noticed as well, I think I saw a tweet from Chris Williams saying that Houston was undervalued, undergraded, but I think that kind of got lost, and people thought like Houston. What do you mean Houston's underrated? They were in one seed. I think people weren't understanding that Houston was underrated in the regard that they didn't have like the flashy, sexy like playmakers like Cooper Flag or
Right.
Janai Broom or say Walter Clayton. Houston didn't have that, but they had a team that gelled well, that played, that had great team chemistry, and did things, did the little things to win. And I think that that's what people mean by Houston underrated. And I think a lot of people, I picked Houston to win the thing because not because of like they didn't have a flash like player, but because the way they played ball and how they found form late. I mean, it's what since like January, their only loss was to Texas Tech in a very wild game when you had like those two like ejections for Tech where they JT Toppin and Graham McCaslin got ejected, and that game was just wild. But other than that, Houston's looked great, and I'm just I'm just gonna be tuned in for the TV. I don't know what else to say about the national championship. But I'm gonna be tuned in.
Yeah, me and my dad are gonna watch the game together. But obviously, I mean, we know who we're gonna pick. But you want to do score predictions before we move on?
Uh, yeah, I think this. I think I'm gonna go with a final score of 78-74 with the Cougars winning the title.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Big 12, Big 12 fam, Big 12 brethren. I am gonna have to go with the team I grew up cheering for. I think the Florida Gators are going to cut down the nets and win their first title since 2007, and they will win
Hmm.
this one 85-77.
Yeah, I think Houston will be able to do what they weren't able to do with Phi Slam and Jama, and those Phi Slam teams were great, but they just weren't able to win the national title. So I think they'll rectify Phi Slam and Jama, but also rectify for Jamal Shed, because
Yeah.
Jamal Shed, if you remember last year, he got injured and they lost to Duke in the Sweet 16. So beating Duke in the Final Four was a taste of revenge, and now they can win the national championship that I believe they could have won had Jamal Shed not gotten injured.
Right. No, I agree, man. Like, I just, it's like, I'm telling you, Houston, like, I'll say this, like, as a Florida fan, like, my heart is not with them like they used to be. Like, I don't have an emotional connection to Florida anymore. Mainly
Hmm.
ever since I've on my since I've been on Twitter and I've connected with more Iowa State fans. Like, I've become more and more emotionally attached to Iowa State. So obviously, if Florida and Iowa State were to play in the Final Four, I obviously would be cheering for Iowa State. But
Hmm.
like at this point, like if let's say if Houston wins, like honestly, this will be a win-win for me because like look, Florida did better than what I thought that they would do this year because I honestly didn't have any like expectations for them. I thought they were a tournament team last year. I didn't really pay attention to them because all my stuff is in Iowa State. So this is the team that surprised me this year. But hey, if they win the Natty, that's amazing. And that'll give me pumped more for the football season. But like um, this would be a huge tip in the cap uh, for the Big 12 because if Houston wins tonight, this will, I believe, will be the third national title in 5 years that the Big 12 would win. I think.
Yeah. And then I saw like what four out of like last six national championships featured a Big 12 team.
Hmm.
Starting from that Texas Tech national championship appearance against Virginia. 'Cause then you had Baylor, Kansas,
Hmm.
and then now you have Houston.
Right.
So a lot of representation for the Big 12, and yeah, getting another big national champion from the Big 12 will be great for the conference. And I think the perception of the Big 12 will be greater with the win, and I think it'll be great. So yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about these transfer portal visits. We did have some news updated this I believe this morning.
Yeah.
And over this past weekend, can you tell us about that, Cody?
Yeah. So over the weekend, both Deshaun Jackson and Caden Fish found new homes. Deshaun Jackson will be transferring to the University of Pittsburgh, and Caden Fish will be transferring to Ball State University. Meanwhile, this morning, Noyes and Drusitis has joined Deshaun Jackson at Pitt, and he transferred to the Pittsburgh Panthers.
All right, yeah, and it's a good spot for them. And we also heard rumors that he wanted to go and stay within the Power Four conferences. So now he's going to be playing in the ACC along with former teammate Deshaun Jackson. We wish them the best of luck, and also Caden Fish the best of luck
hmm
um, with them. Um,
You know what's crazy about that Pitt? The Pitt news. This is the third time in the past like 5 or so years that an Iowa State player transferred to Pitt.
Cody, we're their feeder program.
Just like how what was it that one the time where St. Bonaventures was a feeder program for us, we're now the feeder program for Pitt.
Yes, that's exactly. And if another place doesn't work out, they're probably going to go to Pitt. So, I wanted to talk about a few of the other targets. We did miss out on a target, Andrew Verdi. It was between him and Wisconsin, but he decided that he wanted to play closer to home, so he decided to choose Wisconsin. But right now, Iowa State is looking at new target Dominic Nelson from Utah Valley.
hmm
This will be an interesting visit. I believe they are hosting him on the 11th. So and with this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, they said. Yeah, I saw that they were gonna host Dominic Nelson on campus on Friday. I don't remember who exactly mentioned. Like, I don't know where exactly came from, but yeah, it said that he'll be on campus Friday.
Yeah, so I mean, finding another combo guard that would be nice to add to this roster, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to be done because they've added Blake Buchanan from Virginia, Eric Mulder, and Mason Williams from Eastern Washington.
hmm I, let's see here. I remember I saw something about like Dominic Nelson. He has like some accolade. I believe it was like first team or second team all conference or something.
Yeah, let
That's
me
what I
look
saw.
here. Let me look. I'm gonna look. I'm looking up.
Yeah, because I'm okay. So this is his. Last year, his stats like, so he averaged about 14 and a half points per game and 5 rebounds a game. He pitches in about an assist and a steal per game and about a block per game as well. So I think we're getting a kid who's pretty solid. Like I'm liking this. But I mean, his 3 point shooting something left to be desired. He only shot 25% from three and also 43% from the field. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, I'm looking at the looking at the team website. So basically, I believe what you were seeing is that when he played at Polk State College, this was where he learned first team All Central Conference honors. So,
hmm
in last year when he played with Polk State College, he averaged 20.1 points per game.
hmm Yeah, I also saw this here. He also won WAC Player of the Year.
Oh,
So I
that's a
think
good
that's one of the
recognition.
big. Yeah, that's one of the big things is the he won Player of the Year in the WAC. So pretty solid pickup here, and hoping that he'll like. I wonder. Okay, so I'm looking at KSL Sports, and it says here he scored a career high 25 points, career high 25 points 3 times. He does a lot of his shooting from around the basket and from the mid range. So we could be maybe looking at a Isaiah Brockington type player where he can get those
Mm,
mid range shots. And he said he only took 87 threes, only shot 25% from beyond the arc. But I think for him, I don't think it'll be as worried as long as like Milan can continue shooting 40% from three, and then you maybe get Bateman to shoot. A few other players to shoot well from beyond the arc, and he can get that mid range. So you'll be extra versatile, different layers of scoring. So it'll be really nice.
yeah, and then Heisey getting his shot. Yeah, that would be amazing. And then I just want to talk about one more thing. I'm gonna share my screen with this, bro. We are finally getting some videos out from spring practices, dude. I am pumped. As you know, Cody, I've always been a football guy, but man, these throws, I gotta show you. I'm on
Hmm.
the football page, but man, he he's having he is having a chemistry with Xavier Townsend. Look at this throw right here. Woo, woo.
Hmm.
Oh
Looks
boy.
like the connections already happened because I think we mentioned that Xavier Townsend is from the same area as Rocco Beck.
Yep. Watch this. Look at this favorite right here.
Hmm.
That's from another angle. That's from the other angle.
Oh,
So,
that is a
like,
that is a thing of beauty. Pinpoint
it
precision.
sure
That's
is,
good
man.
coverage too. And I'm trying to see who that is in coverage. Is that Jameson Patton? It looks like. Or let me see. I gotta see from the other angle. I gotta see the number because
It's number 20.
so I don't not sure exactly who it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Tayshawn James maybe
Yeah.
or Tyshawn James, but I could be mistaken. But that's good coverage, and I mean that's just a precise ball, just put right in great spot for the receiver to get, and I think this connection here is going to be really nice because the receiver room is looking really nice for this year. Sowell, Townsend, I'd say Alston, Eli Green, and then Daniel Jackson can stay healthy the whole year because I will love that just for Daniel Jackson, just on a personal level because I mean the guy's just been hit with injuries that's really hampered his career. So we'll love for him to get another get like an actually fully healthy season, and who knows what he could do.
Yeah, man. I just like, um, you know, they definitely will have heeded the advice of Jalen and Jaden, and that's something that we can also look forward to within in the next 3 weeks is the NFL draft. I have been looking at draft boards, and it looks like um, there's a chance that Jalen could be a near end of first round, but definitely second round. I know
Hmm.
we could have a chance to have three second round picks in the NFL draft, and like mainly going early, like probably I'd probably say in the 40s and 50s with all those picks.
Yeah, for sure. That would be really just really nice to see, and then we'll see where maybe Jaden Higgins and Darren Porter fall because I think a lot of stock is like Darren Porter is I would say is would be someone I would see like probably like the second or third round. Maybe I'm shooting for the sky a bit, but I just
No,
can.
I mean a lot of teams like his size, Cody. I know I'm probably gonna have Eric on, and then probably I'm probably see if I can get Hayden on from our lads and do like a recap show about the draft in a few
Hmm.
weeks. But I'm really excited of where this football program is going. So hey, with that, maybe we can talk about and like we just said, we talked about win totals, and with win totals, why don't we can talk about our sponsor, MyBookie.
Yeah, my bookie. Now that the national championship is here, this is going to be a pretty good opportunity. This will be another good opportunity for to win some money. And with baseball going around, and now you got the Masters. I'm not sure if you'd be able to bet on the Masters, but if you're able to, and you find on my bookie, I would have some fun playing around with that. But yeah, my bookie is our presenting sponsor, and they've done a really good job with sports betting and getting people into sports betting. So I kind of got into it because of them, and here I am now. Like I haven't dove into it fully yet, but I'm thinking once it gets to like football season, back to basketball. Once it gets to football season, I might be able to do some more. But yeah, I just wanted to just kind of thank my bookie for being a presenting sponsor of ours, and that's all I really have.
All right, Cody. I think we are going to call that as a show. This is going to be a lot shorter show, but once again, thank you guys for listening to the Believe in Our State podcast. A few things before we go. We are a top 15 sports podcast in the state of Iowa nominated by FeedSpot. So once again, thank you FeedSpot for nominating us, and thank you for the state of Iowa listeners, people who have messaged me personally on Twitter saying that they love the show and giving suggestions. We thank you guys, and we go continue to work hard and give you the best content that we can give you. For us, if you want to find us, find Cody on Twitter at Matt Campbell Impersonator. Once again, that's Matt Campbell Impersonator. And for me, if you want to find me, Tyler, I am at Side Tie Guy. You can hear me whine and complain about the Cowboys not making moves in free agency or just them being a horrible franchise. Me whining about the White Sox because they're a poverty franchise. And, me cheering for the Gators. And then also follow us on social media, of course. The the TikTok is blowing up, so make sure to follow us on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. All of these are growing right now. We would love to have you um, tuned in with us and following us as we update these pages daily. Um, so for Tyler Carter,
And for Cody Mancillo,
this is the Believe in Iowa State podcast. Roll clones, baby.
go State.